You threaten my people with slavery and death.
This is madness!
Madness. This is Sparta!
Yeah, I was a Frank Miller fan. I thought Frank was cool, and I had actually seen the singles when they came out. The book was originally released in single, like just normal comic books, and they were put together to make the graphic novel. And yes, this guy Gianni Nunari, who is he is one of the producers on the movie, and Gianni had the graphic novel on his desk, and he had also a stack of scripts on his office, and we were just like, oh, what would be a cool movie? And I said, oh, this is a cool movie. If we can make those pictures into a movie, that would be cool. That would. Once they bought into the concept, it was a difficult concept to make a lot of comments about, because it just doesn't. I honestly think when I showed them the film for the first time, they went like, oh, this is the movie. Like we didn't know that. That's interesting. And I'm like, yeah, it's the movie you've been giving me notes on for like a long time. So I'm glad you now know what it is. And I mean that with love, because it's weird, it's all blue screen. When you shoot it, you look at the dailies, it doesn't look like anything. And so I think that the thing that I will say in their favor is that once they sort of, now that they've seen the film, I think they think it's cool. I don't know exactly, but they do seem to like it. You know, I came to England to look for bodybuilders. I wanted really ripped guys, and I knew they were in England, so no, that's not why I came. I came to England for, what's that? They're cheap. They're very cheap, that's exactly. I got a rebate from England on the actors, but it's not money, it's weird, it's beer. No, but honestly, and this is going to sound stupid, but the first idea was, I thought, we should get English actors because, they have stage experience, and with the blue screen, classically trained actors will understand that stage environment, and therefore blah, 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 right? Seems to make sense. It turned out that a lot of the actors that I worked with hadn't done any. I don't think Jerry's done a play, has he? I don't think he has. And so, the other thing that it became was the concession of the English accent for the period film, I know, and I gotta say I had a slight political motivation too, because I felt like if you notice, most of the Persians have American accents, like Peter Menza, and I thought that it was an interesting, slightly political thing to do. I knew that, inevitably there'd be some political questions about the movie. A lot of people have asked me, in Berlin especially, which is George Bush, Leonidas or Xerxes? And I said, I think there's a powerful argument for both. I think they're, it could be the Hunchback too. He was the third choice, but I think in the three-person debate, he would come in at the end and then win it. I worked with Frank on the script. I would send it to him, and he would check it out, give me notes. He's an awesome guy, and he has lots of opinions, but good ones. I mean, I think he knows the work better than anybody. So and then he was busy on Sin City, writing Sin City 2, and so he came up a few times, but he has seen the film twice, and he does like it anyway. He said to me, the original 300 Spartans, the 62 version. When Frank saw the original movie, he said that he leaned over to his brother, actually, and said, are the good guys going to die? And his brother said, I don't know, ask Dad. And so he went back and asked his father, and his father said, yes, son, they are. And he said that was the point in which his life changed, or he went down a different road. He assumed that his heroes, anyway, always rode off into the sunset and got the girl, and it was all good. But I think that if you look at then his characters, Batman, Marv, any of his characters that are in his stories, they're all basically that guy. I mean, Leonidas is Marv in a lot of ways. He's the same guy. you know, he has, I would say, certainly not the morals that we have, hopefully, no one in this room anyway. You know, he has his own way of doing it, and I think that's consistent with his sort of aesthetic. As an artist, he's very, I believe anyway, he has this particular sensibility that is very clearly sort of unapologetic and particular to his own. You can tell he spends a lot of time alone. I mean, look at this. But when I showed him the film, he said that, he goes, I wish this was a film I would have seen when I was a child. And I was like, that would have been irresponsible and wrong to show you this film as a child. But I took it as a compliment, I think. The digital blood, we just felt like it wouldn't do. You know, if you worked with fake blood, and especially guys that are basically half naked, it's difficult. You know, it doesn't. There's nowhere to hide it or anything like that. And also, then the blood just can only reacts in a non-specific way. Like you can't control it. It can't do anything other than just flop on the ground and get the costumes wet. So it was, and we'd done a bunch of tests, and I'd seen him, and Grant Freckleton, who was the visual effects art director, he would do this thing where he would put blood on a piece of paper and blow it with a straw, and they filmed that, and then that became a lot of the blood was like that. And then he was also doing stupid things like scanning the blood out of the book and manipulating it. Like my son is in the film. He plays the little Leonidas, the punching Leonidas, and that blood is right out of the book. That's scanned off the cover of the book. The blood in that. In battle 4 or 3, which is the sort of kitchen sink sequence, where they're fighting everything, you know, the whole ridiculous elephants and rhinos part. There was also these giants that had sort of elves riding on their backs with they were like these little archers, and they had arrows, and they were shooting them, and then these giants had their arms lopped off, and they had little hooks on the ends of their arms, and they were lumbering across the battlefield, and they get their legs chopped off, and then one falls, and the little elf kind of falls off and rolls. And I think it's actually Tom leaps onto the dead body of the giant and spears this little elf, and it's really just, it's sad. And it was even too much for me, I gotta admit. I said, you know what, no, this is wrong.
Was it really difficult to find a choice of sound for Xerxes and also his messenger at the start, which was really deep and kind of powerful? And I found myself kind of smiling, just like the actual richness of the sounds. Was it quite a lengthy process to go through?
It actually was. It was really, Rodrigo, I'll talk about Rodrigo first, because Rodrigo, actually, he's not 8 feet tall in real life. So when we looked at the sequence with him in the movie, the way it is, he actually ended up, his voice looked weird on him. It didn't, it's his voice, we just pitched it down a little bit because it just looked, you know, and we had talked about it, you know, Rodrigo and I, about like, well, what are we gonna do? You know, like, if it comes to that. And he's like, that's cool, you know. You can still hear him in it, you know, it's his accent, it's him, but it's just a little lower than he is, you know. Well, I don't necessarily see Xerxes necessarily as the bad guy in the movie. That's just he's hard to hate, you know. You don't hate him because he's kind of fantastic. And in some ways, though, it made the sequence, and this is going to sound strange, when his voice wasn't as low, it almost made them, it was too sexy, the sequence, you know. I mean, it's sexy now, I think, but it was really sexy with his voice a little higher, just kind of. Can we do one take with everybody naked? You know, I did get this is no lie, I got a memo from the studio that said no dangling genitalia in the film. I swear to God, I think I still have it. It should be a t-shirt. We were gonna make a t-shirt out of it, but I didn't because I thought that was not cool, since they were giving me all the money and everything. But yeah, I mean, I thought it would be cool, Like when the Persian emissary arrives and they're naked. That would be, yeah. I don't know. Also, the movie will play in America. I know it sounds crazy, but already, it's pretty sexy. I think for them. I think it would be too much.
Give them nothing, but take from them everything!